Which beer is the best cheap beer in Australia? G'day there guys, my name's Ross and I moved with my family to Australia during a global pandemic. Growing up, when I thought of Australian beer, all I knew was Foster's. And now that I'm here in Australia, I know I'm so very, very wrong. The fact is there are so many fantastic Australian beers to choose from, but for you penny pinching drongos like me, you're only really interested in which one is the best cheap one. Especially in Australia where beer is so expensive and they've got some of the highest alcohol taxes in the whole of the world. For example, beer in Australia is 17 times as expensive as beer in Germany, and they're pretty good at making beer. To put it into perspective, if I buy a carton of beer for $52, I'm paying about $22 just in tax. And I thought the UK put a load of tax on their beer. So I went to Uncle Dan's and I found 6 of the cheapest beers. Now it doesn't really matter about which is the cheapest, but you want to know, how does it taste? Does it actually taste any good? So if you're from the UK or from anywhere else in the world for that matter, and you're wondering what beers I can actually find in Australia that aren't Foster's, spoiler alert, I don't think I can actually find Foster's here. Or you're an Australian and you don't really care what a warm beer pommy git is going to say about your favourite tipple. Or do you? What's worse, a pommy git not liking your beer and you already don't value his opinion, or a pommy git liking your beer and you know he's already got a crap taste in beers? For the record, I actually really do enjoy an ale. That warm soapy flavour feels great in a nice warm pub. But when I'm living here in the sunshine of Queensland, lager's got to be the way to go. Let's get started. So the first beer we're going for is a 4X Gold. My favourite beer at the moment. I think my beer fridge is pretty much stocked full of these things. For me, it brings me back to when I used to drink at university. Didn't go to an Australian university, but used to be able to get 4X pretty cheap in France, and my dad loved doing a booze run. This stuff is brewed here in Queensland. It's 3.5%, and for a 24 pack, it costs $41.90. Twisty tops too. Wait, can I do that? How do you do that thing? Nah, don't work. Bottoms up. Cleanses the palate. If I'm really honest, there's not a massive taste to it, but it's refreshing. I do enjoy a crafty beer, but sometimes they do come with some weird tastes. And I like my beers to be the same all the time. You just can't beat it. I just noticed as well, it's 99% sugar free apparently. That'd be good for me. It's just got that crisp, refreshing taste. To be honest, I could probably drink them all night. Would I remember the flavour? No. It's not really distinguishable. If I did a blind taste test, I'd probably pick out 4X Gold just because it's the one that had the least amount of taste. But if I want a beer that's going to be refreshing and easy to drink, I don't think I can go wrong with 4X Gold. By definition, goes to the top of the list. Now it wouldn't be a fair beer tasting test if I didn't have something to cleanse the palate. Ooh. I used to love kettle chips in the UK, but these Red Rock Deli things, beautiful. A couple of these to cleanse the palate. Next beer is Great Northern Original. Brewed up here in Queensland as well. Gotta love supporting the local businesses, even though they are kind of owned by massive multinational corporations and probably not a lot of the money goes to the local people anymore. This one I find is more popular with younger Queenslanders. In comparison to that one, I think the average drinking age is over 55. Because it's aimed at younger people, you've also got to make it stronger. So it's 4.2% and also a little bit more expensive at $46.95 for a box of 24. Twisty tops again. I can't do that thing. Cheers. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't think that has much of a different taste to that. Like, it's smooth, it's crisp, it doesn't have a long lingering aftertaste. It's pretty easy to drink. The only concern I have with these though is at 4.2%. They're not as sessiony as that one. For the same amount as I could drink those, I'd probably be falling over more after the same amount of these. But then these cost a bit more money, so would I have to drink less to be able to drink the same value as those? I think we've got here more like a session beer versus a party beer. Go around someone's house and be ashamed to drink those ones, but feel okay that I drank these ones. These beers suit the Northern Australian climate. It's bloody hot here in summer, so you're gonna need something to cool yourself down. Where do I go from here? I'm torn. Is it better? Do you know what? If you like a bit more flavour to your beer, like this one genuinely tastes more like beer, that one tastes more like beer flavoured water. I think I've got 2 favourites at the moment, and I'm gonna need to drink some other beers to make that decision about which one is best. Now the next beer, VB. I think the last time I had one of these would have been in a walkabout in Reading in about 2008. Over here, I don't know anyone who drinks VB. Sure, I see it all the time in the pubs, but I don't actually ever see anyone buying one. I don't know anyone who drinks one. I can't even remember how it tastes, although I remember it being very distinct in flavour. Let's see. Twisty again. I'm going to find one that's not twisty in a second and it's going to rip my shirt. Henry Ford's nickname for the Australian invented ute was the Kangaroo Chaser. Nah. Cheers. Now, it's not the kind of bitter that I'm used to, you know, the warm, soapy flavoured kind of stuff in the UK, but it's more lagery. All I can think about is this beer must not travel very well, or the stuff in the UK was horrible. I think I had one and I regretted buying it. Now, this stuff is going to knock me around if I drink too many of these. It's 4.9% and it's probably one of the more expensive ones of our cheap beers at $51.95, which I can only assume is the extra transport costs because they got to ship it in from Victoria. Do you know what? This is actually quite pleasant. Didn't have a crisp in between either. Got to do it for science. I like it. I like it a lot. I couldn't drink too many of them though. At 4.9%, it's probably verging on the assault and battery charges that things like Stella in the UK are quite famous for. But I do like it. I'd drink one again. Would I pay the extra money for a VB just to be able to have the privilege? Probably not. It's not bitter. It's Victoria bitter. I like the sound of the name, but it's not as good as those two. Right, let's cleanse the palate, go for one more. Now this one I'd never heard of before I moved to Australia. Got some friends that are from New South Wales. Tui's new. Apparently it's an institution over there. This beer is also 99% sugar free. Strength wise, this one kind of sits in between those two. 4.6% and at 47.90. It's also kind of in the middle as well. If you hadn't guessed it by now, Australian beers are kind of taxed differently depending on their percentage. So that explains the differences in the prices. Twisty. Oh, it's got little things in it too. Oh, it's a question one. Cyclist Anna Meares won gold in what event at the 2012 London Olympics? Don't know who Anna Meares is, but apparently she won the sprint. That's not it. That's literally not it. Cheers. Now that one does have a more distinctive taste to it. Not in a bad way, but that tastes more like what I remember Victoria Bitter tasted like. Like it was distinctive enough. Not that I didn't like it, I quite enjoy that, but it's distinctive enough to make me go, ooh, what's all that about? If anything, that one's less strong, but it feels more bitey than that one. Going into this, Victoria Bitter probably would have been right down the bottom for me. But Tui's new, it's got a distinct flavour. If you like distinct flavours in your beers, Tui's it is. If I'm going to go for drinkability over the course of an evening, I don't want it to be too distinctive. Controversial opinion. For me, it's just a little bit too oomphy. Got that bit of a taste that I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, where do I put it? I think that's going to have to be it. Right, cleanse the palate. Now this one, I thought, what the bloody hell is this? But I like the cartoon show and the little dog on the front appealed to me, so Bluey it is. Ultra crisp lager. 3.5%, so the same price as the 4X Gold, $41.90. Apparently it's brewed by Pinnacle Drinks, which are owned by Woolies, which probably makes sense why it appeared in Dan's. I just love this country because it's got twisties everywhere. What is that? Is it fruity? Is it hoppy? Now that is one of those distinctive tastes that I kind of think I'm not quite a fan of that. I don't even think I'm going to drink all of this one. No. You know, like if you drink a beer out of a can, and some people can say that they can taste a bit of a metallic-y taste. Why am I getting that in a bottle? Ugh, I need some Red Rock Delis to get rid of that. Don't waste your money buying them. They are terrible. I think that has got to be an example of a cheap beer that you really need to avoid. It's not worth the money. If you're going to spend, if you want the cheaper beer, go for that one. If price is the major deciding factor here, just go with 4X Gold. You know what you're going to get. That, oof, I just need to get rid of the taste out of my mouth. Right, the last beer is Carlton Draft, which on my research, because you know, science, I have to research things, is brewed by Carlton Breweries, which used to be like a subsidiary or part of the Foster's Group, before like Foster's Group wasn't a thing anymore, and either it is Carlton Breweries or it isn't Carlton Breweries now, I don't know. But either way, I think this is the only one that's got Foster's heritage. And I didn't mind Foster's when I was in the UK. Twisty. Which peninsula is the northernmost point of Australia? Cape York. Geography. Nah, I have to look up how to do that on TikTok or something. Cheers. That actually has that weird kind of, ooh, taste like Foster's did. It's very hoppy, I think, if I'm being a beer connoisseur now. Interesting. I'm noticing a theme in like the bottle shapes. The cheap beers don't really have a fancy bottle. And that's got a reasonably distinctive flavour to it. In my honest opinion, before I started this, I have to say that I was going to put Victoria Bitter right down the bottom. To be honest, I don't have fantastic memories from ever being in a walkabout, but that night drinking VB for the first time has stuck with me for over a decade. I was going to put that right at the bottom already. But I'm finding that these three beers with their distinct, peculiar flavours, I don't know, maybe it's me aging poorly, but I just prefer a crisper, more neutral taste. That's got a weird aftertaste to it. I think I've found my worst three. I say worst three, it's just personal preference as to how I drink them. That one, like there. These two, I don't mind. If I was offered them, I'd drink them reluctantly. Pretend, like smiling and pretending. But let's face it, in Australia, who goes around someone's house and doesn't bring some beer with them anyway? Would I pick them again? That one maybe. Probably not this one. But I've got to finish the bottle and I don't like wasting stuff. That might go down the sink. This one, it isn't too bad. I wouldn't pick that one in a pub. I don't think I'd pick this one in a pub. But I would drink it if someone offered it to me. Victoria Bitter. The surprise to all of this. I actually enjoyed it. The only problem with Victoria Bitter though is the shame that perhaps I'd have if I picked it in a pub. One thing I have learned from doing this though is that I don't think this beer travels well abroad. It's alright. I'm just worried at 4.9% how I would feel after a night drinking exclusively Victoria Bitter. I don't think I can put it as my top, but I think that's a commendable third. Now I'm absolutely torn. Do I go with the beer that I have come to love since moving to Queensland, or do I move to its younger, more attractive bottle cousin? I think I prefer a long neck bottle. The long necks taste better. It just drinks so easily. Could it be goodbye, old friend? I'm absolutely torn. Do you know what? My preference for here comes down to two things: price and taste. For quite possibly the cheapest beer that you can get in Dan's, I think you're going to have to say that 4X Gold is a winner. But to be one of the cheapest and tastiest overall, 4X Gold just doesn't really have much of a taste. It just is. Like I said before, do you want your beer to taste like water or watery beer? I think Great Northern is the beer that I could drink like water. I could drink that one like water as well, but I can't help but escape the feeling that it might just taste like a watery beer. One of the other issues that you've also got here is your braggability factor as well. Which of these drinks could you brag to your mates about and say that that's the beer that I love to drink? Now I've already said this in previous videos that there's probably a little bit of bogan in all of us, and I'm quite proud to say that I like drinking 4X Gold. But for the purpose here of saying which of these is my favourite out of all of these 6 beers, I think we have a new winner. Here's to Great Northern. My favourite cheap beer in all of Australia. But then again, I'm a warm beer drinking pommy git, so what do I know? Which is your favourite cheap beer in Australia, or if you're really posh, which is your favourite expensive beer in Australia? Let us know in the comments section down below. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like. If you want to check out the rest of our channel and how much we love this country so much, please subscribe. And if you want to see me giving my 2 cents about other Australian foods, then have a look at this video here.